Thank you, Madam President, and I would like to thank all my colleagues in the leadership for this debate. And whether it is the D word or whether it leads to something significant remains to be seen. And I think one of the most important things that will determine whether this is an effective public debate is whether we listen to one another and whether we challenge our own myths and realities. I'd like to talk a little bit about what I view as the myth as the chair of the Labor Committee, and it's a convenient, I think, political myth to blame our workforce for some of the problems. And for those of us who have been in public service for many years, we know in public employment there are, as in any other human institution, there are exemplars of excellence, as we have talked about just in the last few days, and there are people who don't do such a great job. And the vast majority of people are like us. They're in the middle. They're struggling to do the best they can. So when people talk about waste, fraud, and abuse, let's deal with the reality that the ratio of state employees in California per capita are today the same as they were in 1968. In the last 2 years, we've eliminated 10,000 employees, not positions, employees, to the state government role. The reality that California is 5th per capita in the country, not of state employees, but of government employees. 5th. We are 2nd of state employees per capita. Where we have added employees, 70% of the employees we've added since 2005 have been in departments directly under the control of this administration, mostly in the Department of Corrections, with no positive results. We still have a 70% recidivism rate. And where we've added most in our budget, besides the Department of Corrections, as Senator DeSaulnier knows well, is debt service. And where we could change things, as opposed to the Republicans' proposal and the governor's proposal, as a person who spent 4 terms on a county board of supervisors, is where we deliver service. So if we did the realignment proposal that is in this proposal, all we'd do is cut. We'd just add to that ratio in a time when public servants need more help, not less, because the demands have gone up. Recently, I was at one of the 6 call centers where our unemployment insurance department tried to help those people who are desperately trying to get unemployment. All of us, Republican and Democrats, have dealt with personal stories of constituents trying to get through and trying to get the last safety net, unemployment insurance. I had a gentleman who was being thrown out of his house, was in hospice care, had been told that he was dying of untreatable cancer. He was still being foreclosed on, and he couldn't get through to get his unemployment check. But we got through. At this call center, I saw dedicated people who were being abused that day. They were concerned that they were going to get paid minimum wage, even though 95% of their wages were paid by the federal government. That this administration had cut their work time, even though we were sanctioned because they weren't at work. And most of them went to work even though they didn't get paid, because they knew that Californians in the most dire straits needed their help. And then in this occasion, it was a Monday after the court had decided on Friday that the governor couldn't cut their wages to minimum wage. But here were people who are worrying about in 2 weeks not being able to pay their rent or their mortgage because the state of California was going to withhold their federally subsidized paycheck. And they were trying to help people who were facing the same crisis. Members, if we are going to get out of the situation we're in, Senator Dutton has taken to quoting Einstein's great quote. It's a version that Senator Wright likes to use. His expression is, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you always got, which is Senator Wright's version of Einstein. If we are to get out of this, if this is to be more than a drill, we have to listen to one another and challenge one another. Thomas Paine once said at a most difficult time in this country's history that these are the times to try our souls. But he also said that we can begin the world anew. I oftentimes think that I've been lucky to be amongst you, gentlemen and ladies, to be here in the most trying time in California's recent history. But if we're going to build California anew, I think we have to listen to what Mr. Washington said in his farewell address and be wary of faction. We must respect one another, but at the end of the day, I hope that Republicans and Democrats will challenge our own myths and come up with solutions that will better serve California. I urge a no vote.